part of a team that started out feeling really positive and then suddenly got tense, awkward, or even a little chaotic? That's not a sign that your team is failing. It's actually a normal part of how teams develop. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Katie Linder, a certified project manager, change manager, and coach who works full-time leading and supporting teams in higher education. On this channel, I offer real-world examples of how project management translates into the higher ed environment. If you're looking for ways to use project management tools and skills, both professionally and personally, to bring more ease to your work and life, you're in the right place. Today, we're talking about the stages of team development, a model originally introduced by Bruce Tuckman. This model helps explain how teams evolve over time, and more importantly, why team dynamics can feel so different at different stages of a project. The 5 stages are forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. And most teams move through all of them, whether they realize it or not. The first stage is forming. This is when the team is just coming together. At this point, people are usually polite, a little cautious, and trying to understand their role. There's often a lot of uncertainty, but also a sense of optimism. In higher education, this might look like the kickoff of a new committee, a cross-functional initiative, or a project team that's just getting started. At this stage, your role as a leader or team member is to create clarity. That means setting expectations, defining goals, and helping people understand how they fit into the work. Next comes storming, and this is where things can get a little uncomfortable. This is the stage where differences start to surface. People may disagree about priorities, roles, or how the work should be done. You might see tension, frustration, or even conflict. In higher ed, this could show up as competing departmental priorities, unclear decision-making authority, or differing opinions about strategy. This stage is completely normal, but it's also where many teams get stuck. The key here is not to avoid conflict, but to navigate it productively. That means encouraging open communication, clarifying roles, and addressing issues directly instead of letting them build. If a team successfully works through storming, they move into norming. This is where things start to stabilize. The team begins to develop shared norms, stronger relationships, and a clearer sense of how to work together. You'll often see increased trust, better communication, and more collaboration. In higher ed, this might look like a team that has figured out how to run effective meetings, make decisions more efficiently, and support each other's work. At this stage, it's helpful to reinforce what's working and continue building those positive habits. Next is performing. This is where the team is really functioning at a high level. People are aligned, roles are clear, and the team can focus on achieving goals rather than figuring out how to work together. There's often a strong sense of momentum and productivity. In higher education, this could be a well-functioning project team that's consistently meeting deadlines, adapting to challenges, and delivering results. At this stage, the focus is to support, remove barriers, and keep the team focused on priorities. The final stage is adjourning. This happens when the project or initiative comes to an end. In higher ed, this might be the conclusion of a grant-funded project, the end of a committee's work, or the completion of a major initiative. This stage is often overlooked, but it's really important. It's a chance to reflect on what worked, recognize contributions, and capture lessons learned that can be applied to future projects. While these 5 stages are incredibly helpful, real teams don't always move through them in a straight line. In fact, even Bruce Tuckman later expanded his original model with a colleague, Marianne Jensen, to include adjourning. So the model itself has evolved over time. In practice, teams often revisit earlier stages. For example, if a new team member joins, or if leadership changes, or if the project scope shifts, a team might go back to forming or storming. This is sometimes called reforming, and it's especially common in higher education where teams and priorities change frequently. You may also see teams lose momentum over time, especially during long projects or shifting priorities. Some people refer to this informally as dorming, where progress slows and engagement drops. And instead of thinking of adjourning as the end, many teams now focus on reflection and continuous improvement, taking what they've learned and applying it to future work. There's also increasing emphasis on things like psychological safety, which highlights how important it is for team members to feel comfortable speaking up, especially during more challenging stages like storming. The big takeaway here is that team development is not perfectly linear. It's dynamic, and it's influenced by people, context, and change. Understanding these stages can completely shift how you experience team dynamics. Instead of thinking something is wrong when conflict arises, you can recognize it as a natural part of the process. And instead of expecting immediate high performance, you can support your team in moving through each stage more effectively. One simple way to use this model is to ask yourself, what stage is my team in right now? Are we still forming and figuring things out? Are we in storming and dealing with tension? Or are we moving into norming or performing? Once you can identify the stage, you can adjust your approach to better support the team. Teams don't become high-performing overnight. They develop over time through a series of stages that each serve a purpose. And when you understand those stages, you can lead and participate in teams with a lot more clarity and confidence. What about you? Have you seen these stages play out in your own teams? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insights on project management in higher education. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.